Welcome to another session of WeConnect, where we explore the ideas, companies, and key players that continue to raise the bar in e-discovery.
Hello and welcome to the EDRM Global Webinar Channel. My name is Mary Mack. I'm the CEO and Chief Legal Technologist for EDRM, and today's webinar is an EDRM collaboration with our trusted partner, iCONECT. Today's webinar is called Unlock the New iCONECT Data Solutions Matrix with our faculty experts, Ian Campbell, Emily Johnson, Jonathan Uni, and Mike Fedorowski. We welcome your questions and feedback in the council. Questions will be answered at the end of the webinar today, and this webinar will be available for replay at your convenience, as are all of our EDRM webinars. Kaylee Wallstead, EDRM's Chief Strategy Officer, is here with us today. Kaylee, can you please share what resources are available to our listeners?
Absolutely. We are loving EDRM's On24 platform with so many more ways to engage. If you look to the right of your screen, you'll see your console, and there are many icons in that console. You'll see the question mark, and that's where you click to type in your questions for today's faculty, and we highly encourage you to do so. You'll see an icon for slides, and they'll be made available after the webinar has concluded. The paperclip is where you click for related content. If you click on it, you'll see today's carefully curated resources just for you. First is the On24 engagement tool descriptions. It's a PDF to help you better engage with the platform. There's a link to click to learn more about how iCONECT solutions can help serve you. Be sure to follow iCONECT's experts blog. It's awesome, new, and a great resource for you. And then your valuable insights are needed on complex discoveries, quarterly industry survey, winter e-discovery business confidence survey 2024, and takes just a few minutes to take that. And then up next on EDRM's webinar channel tomorrow, January 25th, important e-discovery case law decisions for January 2024 in almost its fourth year of serving this up monthly. Latest news is where you can subscribe to EDRM's weekly newsletter and never miss a thing. And then just like Zoom, we're super excited about this. You'll see if you click the smiley face emoji, many more emoji as well. We highly encourage you to click those. In fact, click on it now and give it a whirl and show our today's faculty some love. The Twitter bird is where you can follow EDRM and iCONECT on LinkedIn. And then if you click schedule a meeting, you can connect with the experts at iCONECT during Legal Week by clicking that link, see what they're up to. And if you're going to Legal Week, be sure to visit them at booth 2011. Back to you, Mary.
Oh, thanks, Kaylee. And we want to introduce our wonderful faculty today. Starting out, we have Ian Campbell. Ian is the founder and chief marketing officer for EDRM's trusted partner, iCONECT Development, LLC, which is a global market leader in producing cutting-edge, innovative e-discovery software products and services for the legal industry. He's responsible for sales operations and business development, product lifecycle development, legal service provider, and partner relationships as well. And EDRM is always grateful to Ian for his service and support on our EDRM Global Advisory Council. Emily Johnston is the product manager, incidents response data mining at iCONECT. Emily has more than 18 years experience as an attorney, including as a litigator specializing in e-discovery, global privacy issues, and the oversight of document review. Most recently, Emily served as the head of global cyber and incident response review and notification, the offering at Epic Global. She's also served as in-house e-discovery counsel at 2 Fortune 500 companies, including as assistant AGC and vice president at Bank of America, where she oversaw all phases of the discovery process. And prior to that, she was counsel in the e-discovery and information governance group at Fulbright and Jaworski. Jonathan Uni is the product manager data governance for our trusted partner iCONECT. With over 25 years experience, Jonathan was CTO and CISO for Ramsey Quantitative Systems, RQSI, a quantitative investment firm. Jonathan's responsible for planning and overseeing the development of the company's internal software systems, network infrastructure, disaster recovery, and business continuity, as well as safeguarding the company's intellectual property. And prior to that, Jonathan served as Director of Information Technology for Nicollet Capital, an investment firm focused on the development of short-term trading strategies. And he's been a professional computer engineer and information systems management professional for over 25 years and possesses over 15 technology certifications in software, network, and security engineering fields. And rounding us out with all of this experience, we have Mike Fedorowski. Mike is the Senior Manager, Business Solutions, iCONECT, working his way up inside iCONECT with iCONECT clients and doing just about everything. Mike has the unique ability to translate complex solutions into information that C-level professionals can value and make sound business judgments using that data. Easily adaptable, versatile, with the ever-changing environment of a software development and support company in our space, he has a proven ability to wear many hats to both meet the needs of his clients as well as the iCONECT organization. Ian, you have quite the team that you have assembled here to show us what you have been working on. And without further ado, I want to hand you the baton. Welcome, Ian.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate that very much. I'm going to back up one slide here and talk a little bit about iCONECT. You described iCONECT as an e-discovery software company focused on legal. And I think that's where we've been. And we've done a really good job of servicing some of the largest and smallest, most complex global cases that have ever happened on our planet. And as you know, we've taken on a couple of projects that were off planet as well, but yes, that's a different conversation. That's really changing for us. Then what we're really here to talk about today is the fact that we are finding challenges in the market outside of e-discovery and outside of legal. And what we have certainly identified is that we are very good at taking care of people's data. Helping them secure it, understand it, analyze it, and make sure that they can get end results that are useful for them. And our tagline there, responsible data intelligence, is really what we feel that we bring to the table. So you've met the team. What we're going to do today, the plan is to sort of do kind of 15 minutes on a couple of different areas. I'm going to do a quick introduction. Some of you may be familiar with iCONECT currently, some of you may not, but we'll give you kind of a high-level overview of who we are, what we do. You've certainly heard the tenure of the folks that we have on the phone today, and that's really because, and that's important to us as an organization, is to make sure that not only can we talk about and show the experience that we have on the e-discovery legal side, but how we're taking that and transitioning that into other areas. Specifically, the areas of data governance, cyber and incident response, and of course, review, which has been our mainstay for quite some time. There's a bit of a new view at iCONECT in that we feel that we have the ability to broaden our technology and make it available outside of legal. And to that end, really, when you look at what we do, we are experienced, creative, agile problem solvers. We do that with technology. We do that with AI. And we are, as an organization, obsessed with simplifying data. That's what we do. And as I said, we've identified the ability to do that outside of legal, which is really why we're on the phone today. What I did want to do, though, is just give you a little bit of background of some of the things that we've been doing. We don't want you looking at iCONECT and going, have you really been involved in big projects? Have you really taken on complex projects? The quick answer is yes, we have. A little bit of a logo board here of some of the different legal cases that we've been involved in. Our software has been used for. People have used our software for. We have a very strong vendor channel. Many of these have been projects that were undertaken by those vendors. And, ones like the NFL concussion case, the Mattel lead paint case, Toyota seatbelt, Volkswagen emission case, BP oil spill. Those are all projects that, as you can envision, can be quite complex. Some of them global, some of them requiring foreign language analysis. And we have taken those on sometimes in the billions of pages, sometimes in the hundreds, if not thousands of users, and been able to be very successful in those projects. So certainly when we look at being confident to sit here on the phone today and talk about where we've been and how we feel we can bring value to you, information to you, again, we certainly feel like we come from a position of being able to do that. What I do want to do is mention that these will be available as downloads after the call today. A couple of case studies that just to sort of put some context in and around some projects. This was a project we were involved in. We were used on the plaintiff side of the BP oil spill, the Deepwater Horizon project. 4 billion documents in that project, 116,000 plaintiffs. I think anybody on the phone would realize that that's a big, nasty project. And iCONECT really was instrumental in simplifying that. One of the things that was used was a piece of AI that we developed. Some of you may be familiar with the fact that we purchased the AFI technology about 3 or 4 years ago. And with that technology, we built something called Exemplar, the ability to create a synthetic document and then throw it into the collection and go, are there any documents like this? Are there any documents like this fake document I just created? Create a smoking gun. I know that's not a familiar term or a term people like to use, but imagine creating a smoking gun document, throwing it into the collection and saying, go find more like this. We have the ability to do that. And it was done here across 11 different issues, finding the top 1,000 documents related to every issue. Eventually an $18 billion settlement, which I think anyone on the phone would agree is not a small amount. Further to that, and again, just sort of continuing on with some of the experience we've had, a project with LG in and around battery technology and a high volume of documents, the majority of documents not in English. So our ability not only to create a multi-language interface for users, but also the ability to be able to search, index, and use artificial intelligence against foreign language documents, including Asian documents, was really, really key here. And they were able to use the technology. We used the patented Sentio AI in the back end. And again, very high value savings of potentially $3 to $5 million of review savings in this project. The settlement was $1.8 billion, again, not a small amount of money, and which is the largest award ever given through the ITC. Again, iCONECT has been there, done that with some of these projects, but that's where we've been. A couple of things we're going to talk about today, specifically the new version of iCONECT. We're going to be showing this later on. Mike's going to give an outline of some of the new features in the platform. But what I'm talking about right now is that we have actually re-engineered the back end, the underlying architecture. Just to read this comes from Ayad Al-Kabi, who's our CTO. The words unlocked and unleashed come to mind when describing this milestone release. Virtually every aspect of the foundational architecture has been modified, enhanced, and accelerated with the adoption of Elasticsearch throughout the platform. These core code changes now set the platform on a path for continued development of core features, enhanced artificial intelligence. And that's really where we're at. We looked earlier about responsible data and intelligence, and we are being responsible. We're looking at what can AI do today, what can AI do tomorrow, and how can we make sure that we can give folks the ability to take advantage of AI in a responsible way, minimizing risk and maximizing productivity. So those are certainly foundational aspects to the new version. And as I said, Mike's going to show from a feature perspective how we're moving forward with that. But iCONECT is a foundational platform. What we realized as we started down the road of developing for a cyber incident response and also for data governance is that we had a lot of this built already. We've got this foundational technology. It's already got search, security, tagging, redaction, sharing, printing, PDFing, all those different viewing, all those things are already built into our review platform, and we get to leverage those now in other aspects and in other applications. It's already web-based. It's already deployed. It can be deployed either on-prem or in a SaaS environment. We already have a network of worldwide, what we call LSPs, or we have a vendor channel who can provide these services to you if you don't want to do it on your own. We've got a phenomenal support team that really is recognized in the industry as one of the best. That each member having a long-term relationship with iCONECT and our customers. And then the integrated artificial intelligence, we've got multiple engines that we use in the back end. One of them is the patented Sentio engine, which is used for CAL and TAR, the ability to look at few but code many. And then, as I mentioned, the AFI technology, which is used for more of our blocking and tackling stuff, near dupe detection, conceptually find similar email threading, clustering of like documents. All of those things give us foundational technology on which to build. So we have not had to build from the ground up. These are all proven, battle-tested, at scale technologies that we can now leverage to develop other applications to meet the needs. So we started looking at who else is having business challenges. And we found a couple of different areas that really fit that bill. One is information governance. John Uni's going to talk about that in a few moments. In and around the ability to identify, analyze, and make decisions against legacy data. We unfortunately are in a position where we've been told forever, don't delete it. Don't worry, IT will back it up. And at some point, you end up with a situation where there's so much data being backed up that it's virtually impossible to understand the size and scope of that information. We've gone and developed ways to dig into that data and identify and bring intelligence to it so you can make pragmatic decisions for your organization against that data. The second area that I think is very important is incident response. We are all seeing that as a growing concern. And the analysis of that data based on current platforms is challenging. It still requires a lot of manual intervention. And we looked at it and went, we've got all this AI, we've got security, we're web-based, we can ingest, billions of documents into the back end. We've actually got a lot of the pieces required to go and create a laser-focused incident response tool, and we have done that. Legal Week is coming up next week. We're going to be talking about and showing off the data minimization. We're also going to show you some of that today. We're going to be talking and demoing incident response. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we have just upgraded the underlying architecture of the e-discovery document review platform. And we've added a number of features to that so that our current clients can see some of the advancements we've made, not only in the search and display area, but also with some of the AI that we've gone and added to the back end. So with that said, I'm going to hand it over to John Uni. My time is up here, so I'm going to give that over to John Uni to talk about information governance and how we've gone and developed something that really can make an impact and a change and a simplification on some of the data concerns that corporations are having. John, over to you.
Right. Thank you, Ian. Want to make sure, is my screen showing up? I think my screen's showing up now, right?
Yeah,
okay.
You're good.
Great. Okay. So as was mentioned, my name is Jonathan Uni. I am the product manager for our data governance solutions. And my background is almost all exclusively technology-based, network engineering, software engineering, and security engineering. And I've been with iCONECT for a little bit over a year now. When I was introduced to iCONECT, I don't come from a legal background or anything like that, which is I think one of the appeals with bringing me on board, just because we really wanted to make sure that we were building a tool that was focused for all kinds of industry to be able to work on getting a hold of data. And so that's one of the challenges that we've been working on tackling, and that we're continuing to develop out excellent and powerful tools. And I just want to kind of go over a little bit of background on why we moved into this environment in the first place, what the problem is that we're trying to solve, first of all, how data governance and data management aims in general to solve that problem, and then ultimately how iCONECT is working to do so and working to be a part of that solution. So to begin with, naturally, we're dealing with a world where Data is growing at a rate that's never before been seen in human history. I always like to joke that you can go on Instagram and TikTok and all these things. You always see people who now have made careers out of content creation, right? The only problem is you don't ever see anybody whose job is content deletion. Nobody's job is going through and cleaning up that data. So we can create data and everyone's making data, but somebody has to have the job of going through and cleaning up that data for lots of reasons. And there's an excellent report that was done by Veritas a few years ago, where they met with all kinds of organizations, everything from Fortune 20 all the way down to small and medium enterprises, and looked at the situation of the data that they were storing and how they were storing it. And they came away with the understanding that on average, these companies, 54% of the data that they were storing was unclassified dark data, meaning they have no idea what that data actually is, but they're storing it. On top of that, 32% of the data that they do have an idea of is either redundant, obsolete, or trivial, what we call rot. So redundant, it's duplicate data. Obsolete is it's out of date and no longer needs to be held on to. Trivial means they shouldn't have been storing it in the first place. And we actually had a call not too long ago with a bunch of actual legal industry professionals, and 53% of the respondents on a poll that we put out said that rot analysis and rot cleanup was their primary concern. So this is, cross industry, regardless of what type of organization you're with. Data and data management is absolutely critical. Having bad data management ultimately leads to poor decisions. You're working off of bad data. Ultimately, of course, it reduces productivity. That same report by Veritas showed that high data users that use a lot of information in their jobs, were spending on average 2 hours a day just trying to find the data that they wanted and that they needed to be able to use. Of course, closer to my heart, security risks. If you don't know what your data is and where your data is and who has access to it, if you don't have a clear view on that, you don't have the ability to properly secure it. And that creates all kinds of problems for your organization, as well as in how you maintain and manage compliance. We know that with GDPR and with California and now multiple other states, there are all kinds of data privacy compliance regulations coming out that require us to only store data on people that they accept, and for as long as they accept for that data to be stored. And the penalties can be very large if these compliance issues are not properly handled. Ultimately, all those things result in poor business, and you wind up having businesses spending more time focused on handling their data than on the value add of using that data to make their business better. So that leads us to data governance in general. Now, of course, those of you familiar with data governance know that it is a hugely broad topic. It is a framework covering everything from policies and people sitting in a boardroom coming up with policy on and management of data, all the way down to IT and end users managing that data. To be able to have a solid data management policy, you need to have strong data management tools, right? Because good data management makes the rest of the business better, but you have to have tools that allow you to do that. And that is where we aim to position iCONECT, utilizing the underlying platform and underlying capabilities that some of you may be familiar with, but expanding those into a universe of full data management. And so some of the areas that we're tackling, of course, to begin with, if you're going to have a solid data management program, you have to begin with properly identifying your data. You have to know who owns that data, who has access to that data, who's creating data on your network. Being able to understand those things is critical, because usually the person who's managing data doesn't necessarily have control and oversight over all of that data. So if you have redundant data that you want to get rid of, you need to be able to understand, who do I need to communicate with in order to properly cleanse this data? Well, you have to properly identify and classify that data before you can even hope to begin working on that type of thing. Then the actual process of cleaning and organizing your data, being able to remove duplicates, being able to not just remove obsolete data. Sometimes some organizations, as Ian mentioned, for the longest time, A lot of organizations are very focused on making sure they don't lose any data. And so perhaps you don't want to delete out data, but what if we move that instead to an archive, an offline archive, which costs a lot less money? It's safer and more secure because now it's offline, things like that. So all kinds of very flexible options and solutions for being able to manage and interact with your data. Then we're looking forward as well for development of tools for migrating data. We know that especially with a lot of organizations moving to the cloud, the difficulty of moving from on-prem to cloud or from cloud to cloud solutions is very challenging, especially considering once you move from on-prem to the cloud, now you're talking about paying for storage on a continuous subscription basis. So you want to make sure that the data that you're moving over there is as clean as possible so that you're saving money and you're protecting the data and you're organizing it properly as you move. You don't want to create the same problems you had in your on-prem as you move out to a cloud-based solution as well. And then, of course, ongoing management of your data. One of the problems that we see a lot of times for people is that you go through a process and all this work of cleaning up your data and getting everything organized, and then what happens the next day, right? That's a one-time project. The next day, the process begins again. People start duplicating data they shouldn't duplicate. They start saving data they shouldn't and moving data around to locations that it shouldn't be, that sort of thing. So being able to have a continuous basis of how you're storing of how you're managing your data, being able to have insight that proactively classifies it as data comes into the system, utilizing AI to recognize this data obviously belongs to HR. This data obviously has PII or personal health information, all those type of automated systems that allow you to proactively classify and recognize your data, as well as enforce retention policies that you've put in place. Being able to have the system notify you when data has expired, as opposed to you having to go out and hunt that data down. So what's interesting, the workflow for our ROT analysis and our data management solutions, the first step, of course, is ingesting the data. Now, unlike a lot of e-discovery type tools where you're ingesting data into the actual system, you're ingesting files and everything like that into the system, here we're talking about scanning data in place. When you're trying to manage your data and you have a data storage problem, the last thing you want to do is create more of a storage problem. So we utilize a very lightweight system to be able to scan the data in place, pull the metadata that we need to be able to proficiently analyze it into the iCONECT system, and then use that for review and management. Once we have that data, then we have the ability to do comprehensive visualizations of that data. It's incredibly difficult, especially when you're talking about millions or billions of files, to be able to get an idea of what you're going to do with that data if you're trying to look at it at a micro level, right? You need to be able to see it from a macro perspective, and our visualizations allow that. And then from those visualizations, it allows you to interact and begin to make decisions. Do I deduplicate this data? Is this data obsolete? Or maybe you don't know what that data is, and you need to bring in a subject matter expert, an owner or something like that on that information. Well, one of the great things, of course, about iCONECT is that the tool is collaborative inside of it. You can actually move that data from a folder to another user and allow them to begin to interact with it, which is incredibly powerful, because we find that a lot of our clients have found in the past that there are some decent tools out there, but what usually winds up happening is you need 4 tools to get the job done, right? You have to do one thing in one and then move it to the other to be able to do the next step and then move it to the other. We try to make everything a one-stop shop inside of iCONECT that allows you to perform and function at that level. And so ultimately having that quality data governance, that good data management system in place makes everything better. It lowers your costs as an organization. It makes e-discovery easier. If you have a cleaner data set, your e-discovery process is a lot cleaner. It also facilitates your incident response. First of all, if you have cleaner data, you have less likelihood of a breach and less data that can be captured in a breach. But also, if you're classifying your data ahead of time and you recognize what PII is in there and who that PII belongs to, you have the ability to respond to breaches a lot faster as well. And so with that, just like to take a quick second, just give you a little view of the environment itself, this is a custom dashboard that I've built. The environment itself is very flexible. Our iCONECT version 11 has a lot of incredibly powerful tools. As I mentioned here, these are visualizations that we have that demonstrate things like how the data in your scan is duplicated based on size, so the amount of storage on disk it's taking up, but also the number of files that are being duplicated and so on. And all of these tools are interactive. You can click on any of these charts and it's automatically going to update the list of files that you're looking at. And of course, being able to see the obsolescence or the age, the most recently used date of data, as you're seeing in this particular data set. We have data in this particular data set that has not been touched since before the year 2000. Chances are, if you're looking for data that you can begin to get rid of, stuff that's over 25 years old is a good place to start looking. But this type of insight really allows you to get sort of a macro level handle on your data, recognize where problems are, recognize where the issues are that you're dealing with, and then be able to start paring that data down and taking data and saying, okay, I need to determine whether or not I can get rid of this data, but I don't have permission to do that. Well, I can take that information, I can assign that to a folder, and I can share that folder with another user. And when I share that information with another user inside of the system, they can come in, modify and mark up that information so we're able to make decisions on it and then perform large scale actions. And so that's just a very brief overview. Of course, there's a lot more to see, but that's my time. I hope I didn't go over my time. And I'd like to thank you all for coming. Thank you for listening to me. And I'd go ahead and pass this on to Emily.
Thanks, John. Appreciate that. Definitely understand the issues with big data coming from some of my background. So excited for your product. I wanted to talk about incident response data mining. And I'm not sure if my slides are showing, if you can tell or not, but in any case, I can speak through them. So for incident response data mining, oh, thank you so much. It's hard to know. For incident response data mining, basically, what is that, right? So we're talking post-incident, post-potential breach. You have a bunch of emails, you have a bunch of data that was involved in a ransomware event, and you need to know what's inside that data so that you can notify appropriately. In my past life, I was doing 200, 250 of these a year, and found that the review for cyber incident response was incredibly difficult for a number of reasons. There's no reasonableness standard like there is in e-discovery. The timelines are short. We're talking an average of 5 to 7 days for review. And it's a very manual process with a lot of opportunities for error. So what I was very excited to do was come to iCONECT to help to build a product that was purpose-built from the perspective of someone who's had to do this review and someone who's had to kind of suffer through some of these larger projects and try to make the process easier and more streamlined for folks who are doing that review. We are entering beta with a few folks this month, next month, I guess, starting in February. And I will be able to be providing full demos to folks who might be interested. I'll be at Legal Week, or am happy to connect with you one-on-one on the phone if you hear the presentation, decide that you'd like to hear more. So incident response has a number of different phases. The first is identification. You have this big corpus of data. What data actually has personal information in it? How much personal information, right? If you have two documents that are both saying they have social security numbers in them, document A has one social security number, document B has 10,000 social security numbers, that's a big difference, right? So we're trying to help you with that initial identification, finding documents that have names in them on top of the other entities, as well as getting a scope of what that density looks like from a document by document basis, so that you can plan your review better. Extraction, so then taking those entities, those data elements, and pulling those out into data subjects. Verification is QC and verifying that the data is actually good, there weren't typos, there weren't other issues. And normalization, which is the creation of that notification list, which involves deduplication of really sparse data a lot of the times. Trying to bring together the 6 lines of data that you've pulled out for Emily Johnston with different, one might have my SSN, one might have my bank account, one might have my date of birth, and how do you combine that down into a single person if that's appropriate. So, like I said, the problem is that extracting data subject information from unstructured data for notification purposes is costly, difficult, and requires a lot of significant manual intervention. Our software is going to allow for early analysis of that data, fast and accurate extraction of data subject information, and hopefully reduce your overall review costs by speeding up the review and helping you prioritize documents efficiently. We're here to empower efficient and accurate identification and notification of affected data subjects post-cyber incident. I'm also personally here because I saw a lot of really difficult data. Let me say this. I was in e-discovery for about 10 years before I moved over into cyber, and I saw significantly more mental health issues, burnout issues, just frustration on the side of the people doing this work because it, and so my personal mission and why I'm excited to build and start having this software out in the market is to make the lives of those people easier and to get great results while we're doing it. So we had 4 primary focuses of development. The first is a person data store, which basically allows a many-to-many relationship between documents and people, meaning your CEO sees her name in the notification list and says, I don't remember any of my personal information being within our systems. I want to see every single document that has my personal information in it. You can easily pull those documents. We don't just connect people's, we're not just extracting people's names in a vacuum. We are connecting them to those documents so that you can pull those for reporting or after action analysis. Our review approach is going to reduce manual entry as well as leverage AI-driven entity identification. We've developed 4 separate review approaches depending on your role in the case. Admins can extract in a way that maybe reviewers cannot. And that enables sort of fast and accurate extraction, whether it's the UI-driven extraction or the backend upload of data for multiple documents at a time. So we've built a few different methods of extraction that allow the different roles in the product or in the projects to get their extraction done quickly and efficiently in a way that minimizes that kind of per doc review that may not be necessary. We really focused on developing a deduplication and normalization process for the notification list. Just like in a typically discovery review, if you go through the whole review process and you love the review tool, but then there's it accidentally produces all of your privileged documents, you don't love that review tool anymore. To make sure that our end product, our notification list, was clean and easy to create. So we've created a lot of interface for reviewing that notification list, as well as allowing you to take it outside of the system, review and re-upload, and spent a lot of time on making sure that we can make good combinations out of the sparse data. And then the last bit is actually something that happens first, which is upfront identification of documents that potentially contain more person data. So like I said, your density analysis is going to allow you to see those data in them and either give them to a more specialized team up front, share them with your client up front so they know what that density is going to look like. It's also going to allow you to pull those data elements out if you choose to. So if you want to say to your regulator, there are 1,500 unique Social Security numbers that we believe are in this data. Of course, we're going to allow you to pull those Social Security numbers out, pull out other data elements that are in the data up front so that you can start making connections and getting a sense of your overall scope of incident more quickly. Our goals, like I said, are to provide cyber review solutioning, focusing on functionality not currently available on the market. We focus truly on the extraction phase as much as the identification phase. I feel like a lot of tools focus on that identification phase, state to state to state, from law firm to law firm, as to what they consider a trigger. That it can be difficult to focus entirely on that identification phase because there's so many variables. What I wanted to do was have great identification, but couple that with really strong extraction. So, like I said, we have 4 different methods of extraction depending on your role, depending on how you want to approach the case. And that was very as little typing as possible. To reduce the impact of typos on data. Garbage in, garbage out is always a problem, and to enable folks to go through data as quickly as possible. We focused a lot on the robust deduplication normalization processes so that you could have that great and clean notification list the first time and not have to have a lot of human intervention afterward. We capitalized a lot on existing functionality within the iCONECT system. Like Ian said, we are many tools built upon one platform, and so we leveraged a lot of what was already existing for sort of PII identification within our legal sphere. So we wanted to leverage that functionality to make a great product. We kept the deduplication phase in a single tool rather than having to deal with multiple exports and overlays or outside SQL coding or however it is you're creating your notification list today. And as I said, really reduce the amount of manual work while improving accuracy. It was very important to us to streamline the work for the users so that they could have this purpose-built tool that would make their lives easier, allow them to complete the work in a way that reduced that burnout and those mental health struggles that were resulting from a really difficult task having to be done in an incredibly short amount of time. And most of the time when you're doing a cyber review, you're interacting with people on their business's worst day, right? They have 85 other problems. Maybe their business is shut down. Maybe they're having financial issues. And so we want to make the review easy enough that it's not a worry for that end client. So that is the basis there. I'm not demoing today because we are about to enter beta, but I'm happy to demo on a sort of one-on-one basis if you'd like to reach out. As they said, we will be at Legal Week. I'll be at Legal Week, and I'm happy to meet up and chat cyber. I'm kind of a cyber review nerd, so I'm always happy to talk about it. Or if you'd like to see a demo or get more information, just feel free to reach out. I'm excited to turn it over to Mike. I got a notification from LinkedIn today that Mike is celebrating his 21st anniversary with iCONECT, which is pretty crazy and exciting. And he's here to talk to you about our e-discovery platform. Take it away, Mike.
All right. Thank you, Emily. And give me 1 second. I should have my screen up now for you.
Perfect. Yeah, Mike, you're good.
Excellent.
All right, excellent. All right, we've only got a short bit of time left, so I will move at a little bit of a quicker pace, but I am going to highlight specifically some of the new enhancements inside of iCONECT and to pick up on a number of things that both Jonathan and Emily picked up on and mentioned. Effective, efficient, minimizing the amount of work that needs to be done inside of the system. These are all hallmarks that I've been talking about in the discovery platform for years, and that's really something we take into heart. We want this to be as easy as possible for all parties coming in, regardless as to what their role may be. I may, quote unquote, just be a reviewer coming in to do 3 things, or I may be that Uber database project manager who sets up everything, field structures and changing things on the fly, etc. Again, we want it to be as easy as possible for all parties. I've literally just logged into my iCONECT system now. For those that have never seen iCONECT before, essentially 3 total screens is the hallmark for most users. I always like to joke and say the first one doesn't even really count because it's just a listing of all projects I have access to. As a user, I will simply click on a project name, jumps me in, all my work is done between 2 screens. Now, all that being said, quick and easy to get a new project up and running. Literally, I can highlight on my big green new project button, give it a name, choose one of my templates. That's really one of the things that we've unleashed in the latest version of iCONECT, is essentially unlimited templates throughout the system, whether or not we're talking about database templates and the parameters you like to arrange those and code them, including the visualization tools that you may benefit from, right down to unlimited templates outside of the system, your coding panels, all of those things. As far as getting my data into a system on an existing database, right off the dashboards, it's as easy as simply saying, hey, let's just add some records. And then I simply drag and drop depending on whether or not we're dealing with natives or our image data. Other than that, though, let's just jump right into the database and I'll give you a quick tour, again, highlighting some of those enhancements inside of iCONECT and new things we've done to take us into the next phase of our software and to further augment what Jonathan and Emily's already talked about. So we jump inside of a database, traditional sort of a table view layout. One of the things that I really like is the ability now, and this is a big change for, I'll say, folks that have worked with us in the past, is the ability to rearrange every layout on this screen. For example, you'll see inside of iCONECT, we happen to have the folders panel down on the left-hand side here. But if I was a user who really preferred to have it over to the right, I'm able to do so and simply drag that around. Why might that be important? Because you may be one of those users that really likes visualization. And you'll see here from this particular workspace above my table view, I can scroll down and have all of those visualization charts set in place. I've got one here, which is a breakdown of all of my custodians and the record types contained in their set. If I needed to jump in and grab Dr. Calvert's email, I can literally point and click from here and bring that right up. I can highlight and see where all the email in my data set sits, as well as the PDFs, the Word docs, whatever it may be. As I scroll down, the data we've collected here based off of our record types, any sort of timeline graphs. I myself am also a big fan of using clusters, so I've set my clusters to always be visible on my screen, regardless of what filters or searches I run. If I was to step in here and, for example, run a quick search and say, hey, bring me everything coming over to me from Christy here. So click on her, I bring back my documents. You'll see that not only as my data and my line graphs updated, I can even see conceptually all the data she collected from, very small set, 2 main clusters of data, and that's essentially it. So we've tried to make that layout extremely easy to work with and giving you the enhancements of the dynamic nature of the visual graphs. They work just like a search. So if you're a point and click person, it works in beautifully. A few other things as far as highlights go at this particular stage. You'll notice as well, you have the convenient tagging displayed within your columns and your table view. So if you need to step in, for example, run a quick and easy filter on all documents that have been flagged as hot here, I can simply run an easy filter and deal with everything we have sorted out in place. I can also use my table view once I have an idea as to, hey, these are all the hot documents. If I want a quick preview, I can jump over and flip this into iCONECT's unique thumbnail mode, showing me off the data that comes in, regardless of whether or not we're talking about image materials or natives, doesn't matter. Lights up nice and easy inside. We can rearrange these in a multitude of different sizes because, as we all know, sometimes the attorneys, they know it when they see it kind of scenario. Now, one of the biggest enhancements I'm most excited about is now the intuitive search bar across the top. And this is a big change from years past, or as Emily pointed out, I'm an old guy here now, so decades past when we were using custom search builders and manually trying to have users fill in a form and things of that nature. We've made things a lot simpler. One, we have automated enhanced entity extraction right off the bat. This now gives our toolbar across the top here the ability, as I simply click in, to search across not just any of the metadata, any of the record data, any of the foldering information, but as well as all of those various analytical tools that make their way in. I can easily pull together my threads and the inclusives inside, or the inclusive reasons, the near duplicates. the work product annotations, and including the entities. Run a quick search, bring back all the documents that contain phone numbers, etc. From a user standpoint, as I start to type away, I can literally come in and say, hey, my custodian is going to equal, and our facets are now built in automatically where I can say, I need this gentleman, and this gentleman right in place here. Run my search. Not only does my table view update, but of course, all the lines, graphs, clusters that fit my search all work in real time to go along with it. From here, of course, if we've got some documents in place, I'm going to simply slide on over into my document view, where, of course, I jump in and do my tagging coding panels in place here, whereby I can step in and apply commentary throughout the documents. Essentially, think of it like adding sticky notes or highlighting throughout within the document itself. Again, another area a lot of the attorneys seem to like because it lets them have that within document notation. And then, of course, when I find a document that catches my attention, I can very easily jump in and see what's related to it because part of the same email thread, textually similar near dupes, or similar concepts. Again, easy to retrieve from that user standpoint. And as I slide back on over, we'll highlight a few other areas. The next major enhancement is in our quest to minimize clicks, minimize the amount of space or places you need to go to do what it is you need to do. The enhanced sidebar with a nice little mixture of both traditional sort of user reporting and then PM style functionality that we light up regardless as to what your rights may be. From here, for example, I can jump in and I can easily bring in our oversight statistics if we're utilizing the Cal and TAR engine that Ian talked about. Oversight's a very unique feature in the fact that we can allow that AI to just run in the background, learning from the review designations, and then it starts to automatically flag out documents it suspects have been erred out on and things of that nature. Your coding metrics in place here, even the ability to step in and right from the front end database without having to jump into an admin console, manipulate your field structures right from in place here. Hey, I need to jump in and take a look at the fields in the database. Maybe I need to add a new date field or a new numeric field. I can do that right from the front end in place here. And then, of course, return right back into my database itself. And to Ian's point about the exemplar that we utilized, and he mentioned earlier, again, very easy for a user to come in and interact with or work with those quote unquote virtualized documents, those synthetic documents where you say, find me more like this. Right here on the side, exemplar features where I'm able to simply step right in and then outline not just what I want to find on my documents, but when we actually get into the database, because it's all about having this functionality work well with each other inside of the system, you can not only, I'll say, manually create the kind of, as Ian mentioned, we don't like to use the term smoking, but manually create your document. But then as you step into the data set and you start finding material that is really good, that fits into what it is you're looking for, I could take a look at a document and think there's nothing of any interest here, but that particular bit right there, that is sort of golden language, smoking gun stuff. I can take that and even add that right to my exemplars right from the viewer itself. So it makes a nice, easy way to be able to step in and not only combine the subject matter expert's knowledge and what it is they're looking for, but blending that in with the actual content from the data set you're working with are all key things that I think really do help us, move this to that next level of blending in the ability for the user to interact with the data in a number of different ways. All that being said, I know we've only got a few minutes left, so I will drop that off for the time being.
Good stuff. Thank you, Mike. And if you can just confirm that you're back to a relationships, trust, and support screen on your end.
Looks good from here.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah, the one thing I did want to mention, and thank you, certainly thank you to Uni and Emily and Mike for really giving us a high level overview of what now is really, the iCONECT product solutions matrix, really well beyond e-discovery for legal, as we talked about earlier. One of the key things, though, in any technology, there's nothing worse than developing a relationship and a partnership, trusting that the software is going to do what everybody said it was going to do, and then having a hiccup and phoning and you don't get an answer and no one picks up the call and you don't get a call back for 3 days. We know that's very debilitating and very irresponsible of people to do. We're very, very proud of the fact that the iCONECT support team has been and continues to be one of the strongest in the industry. We have long tenured people within that organization, and some of the quotes that we get back, you can see on the screen here, really do indicate the strength of our people and the strong relationship that they have, not only with our product, but with our clients. And I think certainly we do have a document called the RFP Toolkit. It's something we put out annually. It's something people can use to sort of decide maybe which softwares are applicable for them. But one of the criteria we always say is ask about support. Chances are you're going to make that call, and if nobody picks up, that really should be a red flag. Just to wrap things up here, I did want to talk a little bit about where we go from here. As mentioned, we will be at Legal Week next week. We'll be on the main floor there. Moving back up, there's a couple of downloads. Certainly the BP oil spill piece and the LG piece are available to you. You can follow us on all the different various social media platforms that you're probably on, we're probably on. Certainly lots of information for you at iConnect.com, including all of the blog resources that we have there. And then further to that, any of the folks that were on the phone today are more than happy to get on the phone, talk to you, talk to the other associates that you have, and answer any follow-up questions. And then certainly further to that, should you need a demo of any of the platforms, again, we can set those up individually as well. So we are certainly here to help you solve problems. We are, again, iCONECT. We're looking at these days an expanded product portfolio and really focused in and around providing you with responsible data intelligence. So with that said, Mary and Kaylee, back to you, and thanks for the opportunity today.
Oh my gosh, Ian, it is so wonderful to see what you and your team have built and the way you've extended and re-envisioned the platform. It is beautiful. Thank you. And we want to thank our trusted partner, iCONECT, for making yourself, Emily, Jonathan, and Mike available for this wonderful, thought-provoking, and educational session. We thank our EDRM community for your kind attention today. And if you've enjoyed today's presentation, show Team iCONECT some love with those emojis, and check out the resources at the bottom of your console. There's a button there. You can schedule a meeting for Legal Tech right within the console and for your own very private demo. So we will see you tomorrow once again on the EDRM Global Webinar channel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to another session of WeConnect, where we explore the ideas, companies, and key players that continue to raise the bar